Hey, Jackie and Jim, excited to hang out with you both today for a little bit and talk everything craft beer marketing awards. How's everything in Long Island?
Good. Everything's awesome. It's fun to be with you today.
It was great to see you both at CBC. I know we had kind of interacted through email, a ton of emails over the past few years, so it was great to finally see you face to face.
Yeah, definitely. We agree.
Now, tonight, you all have a really exciting event. What are you looking forward to?
Oh, we have a big comedy show over at Blue Point Brewing Company featuring Zane Lamprey. He has been one of our top supporters and judges since the very beginning of CBMA's.
Yeah, and he was our Judge of the Year for 2020. So
How in the world did you get connected with Zane?
this guy.
I know a
Jim,
lot
I
of
feel like you
people.
probably know everyone. Is that true?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, Zane and I go back. We both worked in Hollywood for many years, and he was one of my inspirations to get into the business. His TV show back in the day, Three Sheets, was an amazing kind of travelogue where he went to all these various places in the world and drank their beverages and introduced us to really community and how beer and people interact. And I always loved that and decided
I
to make
might
my
have
whole
to dive in
career
the
around it.
archives of that one. Sounds fascinating.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely check that out.
So while Zane was making this show, what were you doing in Hollywood?
I used to work in a marketing agency,
If it's
and
something you shouldn't say, we can just skip to the next part.
It's a little over PG-13 with some of it.
yeah, I did marketing for a lot of wild companies, from WWE to UFC to all the Hollywood movie studios, even Pee Wee Herman for many years.
Oh my gosh, sounds fascinating. So Jackie, how did you end up meeting Jim?
Oh, fate. No. I started working at a marketing agency as well, and then did some time in the wedding industry with event planning. Came back around to marketing, was doing social, which is how I connected with Jim when we were working on a hop company. So it kind of just took off from there.
Awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure to follow the Craft Beer Marketing Awards the past couple of years. It's been a pleasure even from the judges' side because I have judged to kind of see how you've grown. But I want to go back way before you even launched this. So let's pretend, we're in 2022 right now. Let's pretend it's 2012. How do you think the craft beer industry would have responded in 2012 if you said you were launching a Craft Beer Marketing Awards?
I don't think they'd understand. I don't think it would make any sense.
Probably would have been premature.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry since '96, so I've seen almost the full evolution of how the industry has played out, and I think that's really just the organic story of how CBMA started, where Jackie and I were going to all of these craft beer tasting competitions, and the brewer and the people involved in brewing the beer would accept their awards and everyone would try the beer. And we were saying, when are they going to start to recognize, the other half of the industry, the people who package, market, brand, and sell the beer?
Yeah.
So I think we had some great work we wanted to enter. Jackie could finish the story. It's just very fluid the way it all went down.
Yeah, I mean, we were at CBC in
2019,
18 or 19.
Yeah.
Sitting around and we were talking to someone about their labels and their new site. We were going over their website and we looked at each other and we were like, why don't we win awards for stuff? So literally on a napkin at a bar in Denver over a beer.
That sounds so cliche.
CBMAs were born.
Yeah.
And what year was that? You say 2018 or 19?
19, I think it was. Yeah. And then we launched for 2020.
Well, it's fascinating to look at, how much the industry has grown in even 5 years. When I first launched my other hat, Secret Hopper, in 2017, there were only 5,000 breweries out there. And, now we're only at 9,000. But a lot like you're talking about the importance of marketing, and that's also something I'm very passionate about. I was talking about taproom experience. You had to do more than just make really great beer. And you were saying, you had to really focus on the marketing. And so, like every great business, you decided to launch that in 2020, right?
Of course.
Yeah.
Why not?
But was that an opportunity for you?
It was in a way. I think we were able to gain more attention via things like a website, email, social. People were obviously a lot more focused on that and relying on things like that. So, yes, we had an in-person ceremony planned for our first year. Obviously, everyone had things planned. And by doing it online, I think we made even more connections with people who were just tuning in, wanting to be a part of it. Because after our first year, we had people asking all over the world, why can't we enter? And then why not? We decided to go global right after that as well.
And the good part is, COVID didn't affect the way our competition operated. But just to play off what Jackie said, and even how we all met, I don't think I had ever really been on too many Zooms pre-COVID. It was always like maybe with a client who was in another country, and then all of a sudden Zoom became part of our daily life, telecommunications in general. And I think that really did help us get introduced to so many people.
And people were relying on their marketing. I mean, all of a sudden you have all of these cans that are being produced because nobody's coming into tap rooms. They needed labels. They needed to up their social. They needed to get creative with how they were getting beer out there. It kind of fit right in with us, and then 2021, we did have, the pandemic marketing category, something we never thought we would have. I mean, it's not even on our radar, right? And that was huge. And people did amazing things in 2020.
Now, Jim, you mentioned how much time you spent on Zoom. If you had to guess, how many hours a day are you on Zoom calls?
Oh, it's probably, at least half the day, I would suspect. Yeah. Some days it's all day, because it's the only way to really communicate in a way that in our industry, marketing, that it really works. You have to be in a room with the same people, and those creative juices have to flow, and a phone call doesn't always do that. But this is the next best thing of being in person.
It's nice to see someone's face. And, over the past few years, I bet I met more people since the start of the pandemic than I did the 2.5 years prior, thanks to the internet.
Yep.
So there's definitely been some opportunity. So when you launched this first awards, how did you, you're a marketing awards, but how did you market it to breweries? How were you able to convince the brewers the value of this and to get them to want to be involved?
The first challenge is Jackie and I had to build it. So it took from 2019 to 2020 to build this machinery. We're also doing this on the side. So we call it our side hustle. So really doing it at night and on the weekends for the most part. Yeah. But once we had the machinery built, it really took on a life of its own, I have to say. Partial is our relationships in the industry. Being able to get, influential judges pretty quickly and get rolling was a big help.
And our presenting sponsor for the last 3 years was Hillebrand, and that team really helped us out. Obviously they have a ton of connections within the brewery world here in the US. And then when we expanded, they had that global platform as well. So they were a really, really important partner for us, as well as, Arrived last year, working with them. You're familiar with those guys.
Great people.
Yeah, they're awesome. They're super fun. Yeah. And, they helped us kind of spread the word last year. So as much as we've relied on partners, it's also been a very organic growth. People are just super excited. The Crushie is a really cool trophy that people want to show off. So that it did kind of organically just grow on its own, word of mouth.
And that's really what happened that first year. We saw all the great work that was happening in the US, but then at the same time, seeing incredible hot spots of craft beer popping up throughout the world. And we looked at each other and we're like, global? And we're like, yeah, let's do it. And that was another whole level of work and intricacies and even learnings.
And there's just so many different rules in different in different countries of how they can enter and what they can enter. And
you'd have somebody from Italy saying, where's my 10-ounce can? I'm like, 10-ounce can? I never even heard of it. I'm like, oh, okay.
So we had to adjust a bit with our category names and what it meant to enter. But it's all been a huge learning experience for us.
Yeah, we never.
No, so I had the opportunity.
We know everything. No. So a lot of people get emails saying, guys, we're still learning the business ourselves.
We're the first ones to say, we're not sure. Let us find out.
Well, I think the categories you've chosen are really fun. And I think it was the first year I had the opportunity to judge. There was a humor video, short form humor videos. Yep. And one of my takeaways, one of my observations, I should say, there were a lot of Australian breweries that entered that category.
Australia, I think, is our top country outside of the US.
Yeah.
That and UK are pretty close.
And all the submissions that I was lucky enough to enjoy, because they were all hilarious, I noticed that a high percentage of the people in the videos had mullets. Yes. And I didn't know if they did them specifically for humor, if it was normal, but it was just an observation.
Yeah, we've said our beard's the thing here, and then you go overseas and it's the mullet. It might be. It might be.
I don't know. So I was curious if you knew more than I knew about that trend.
He had a mullet during the pandemic when he wasn't getting his hair cut.
One of my best moments recently, I took my kid to the hairdresser and they asked how he wanted his hair. And he said, give me the mullet. And I was like, oh, my heart. I love it. It's the 80s.
Absolutely. So besides mullets, of course, what are some other trends you have noticed over the past couple of years in the submission? Is there anything that just stands out to you as unique, surprising? I'd love to hear your thoughts on the submissions that you've seen, anything that just stands out.
I think our favorite thing that we've seen is all of the retro stuff coming back. The plays on our childhoods, the plays on old TV shows, old serials. Everything. Everybody's getting really creative. We've seen some cool the flight boards. We saw a cool retro one a few years ago with, what was it, yo-yos or those peg things you build.
That trend started probably a couple of years ago. It started actually in other industries, and it is quite clever. And it's definitely one of our favorites to peruse because the nostalgia factor of some of the things that people are infusing into that artwork really does bring us back to our fondest childhood memories. And a lot of times that's just that little extra needed to reach out and grab that, 4-pack of beer.
And then even what people are doing for cause-related stuff has been amazing over the last 2-3 years. Just that little extra piece of giving that they're doing when, a lot of these guys are small. They're not making millions of dollars. They don't have to give away anything. And they're giving back, which is a huge trend also in craft.
Yeah,
but
it's definitely a very special part is to watch this industry give back and interlock arms, even competitors. I don't know any other industry that's like that. But the camaraderie is nothing that we've ever seen before.
No, absolutely. And it's great that you're able to showcase companies that are doing amazing things in that space. And looking at all the categories as a whole, you've talked a little bit about sustainability, companies that are doing well, the nostalgia feel. Are there any specific categories you two get really excited about? Jackie, you're smiling. You can go first.
We like the funny videos too. We like those.
One of the great parts about CBMAs is it recognizes and celebrates the people that are doing this great work. Similar to us, like that's how it started. We wanted to show people the work that we did, and now this competition allows many artists and designers and illustrators and marketers and branders to put their best work out there and say, this is how we help our client or how we help ourselves sell our beer. And in a lot of cases, you'll have a tiny little brewery beating out one of the biggest breweries in the world with all of the marketing and resource budget at their fingertips. So I think the competition definitely evens the playing field of who's doing the best work.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. And, you even see that with what people are investing in things like their label art. They're hiring comic artists, they're hiring, everybody, street artists, everybody at all different budgets. And one that spent $100 on the label could beat out the guy who spent $5,000 on an artist. It's truly coming down to talent, creativity. I don't know. Even the videos, you no longer need a huge production value. It's, make it on your phone, make it on TikTok. And I think that's helping a lot of breweries get seen.
And I always tell everyone, Andrew, is go to craftbeermarketingawards.com and then click on the winners gallery through the years and actually just see the winning work collected in a visual way. It's really crazy to see not only the evolution, but how sophisticated and how clever and how industrious the marketing has gotten.
I couldn't agree more. And I love to see those smaller breweries recognized. And in honor of today's conversation, I'm actually wearing a t-shirt from one of your award winners this year. There's a local brewery in my area, Studley Brewing. They actually haven't opened yet. It's coming soon. Excellent. And they won for typography. And so it's great to see breweries of all shapes and sizes across the world, have the opportunity to get showcased. And, that leads me to a part of the competition that I'm really fascinated in. You have built such an amazing network of judges. Jackie, how many judges do you have on the website right now?
I think we had over 575, almost 600.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Is it automated to add them to the website?
No,
or you have to add
it's not.
Oh my gosh.
The judges, it's funny. We had a conversation about this yesterday. They are just such a huge part of this. We obviously could not judge all of these entries ourselves. And we're like, do we need everyone? And we're like, yeah, how else are we going to do this? So, a big part of our day at the startup of each season is reaching out to judges, is putting them on the website, getting their photos, the bios, the whole deal. But everybody's very excited about it. So we would never change it.
I mean, you saw we had a vetting process. So, everybody has to be someone who's influential in the industry and who could help us beyond just the volunteering of their time to visually critique the entries, but help us promote every judge collectively. When you add it up, it's millions and millions of people they know and exposure. So, we're still small. We're still trying to grow. We're still trying to get people out there who haven't heard about CBMAs to check it out.
And you somewhat touched on it, but how important have your judges and partners been to helping the Craft Beer Marketing Awards scale?
It's critical. We absolutely 100% couldn't do it without them. Jackie mentioned Hillebrand earlier. They're the Bev Pros. You could check them out at hillebrandbeer.com. I mean, these folks have been in the industry since 1985. I mean, they know everybody, and they're not the Bev Pros for nothing. So I think their influence and their help has really got us to the position that we're in now, and super grateful for all of them. And incredible friends. I mean, that's the best part. As you know, we've only met a couple times. I feel like in our industry, it's so easy to become friends with other people.
I couldn't agree more. So to go back to the judging process for a minute, I found that when I've judged the past few years, it's a different category each year, which I love because I get to see a different type of the industry showcased. Is that randomized, or how are judges chosen for each category? If you're able to explain that.
It's pretty much randomized.
Yeah.
We just make sure that, certain experts aren't judging other categories that they may be in, all of that kind of stuff. So there's a little bit of a manual system, but most of it's randomized. We just double check everything.
But it's a great question, because I think that's one area we could probably start to become more strategic in, and maybe someone who is a video expert should be ranking those entries. A lot of cases that does happen, but we do and we tell even every entrant this, every judge is a human and they like what they like. So it's not just the entry itself, the artwork, it's how you positioned it, and you probably know as a judge, the entries that you saw that actually kind of informed you of what was going on in this campaign does help. So it's any given Sunday for who will actually rank the highest.
Now, before I proceed with my next question, are judges able to reveal the category that they have judged? I think I might have already slipped, but is that kosher?
Yeah, they can say that. We just don't want them, showcasing anything they see or anything like that. But yeah, you could say what you judged.
Totally. When you talk about how it's randomized right now, I was actually excited for one of the categories I was given this year. I've become pretty passionate about the non-alcoholic space. For people who listen quite a bit, I have an almost 3-year-old, so I don't drink as much as I used to. Although I do look forward to the industry events where I get to have some beers with everyone. But I was very excited to see that category up there and see the work that was submitted.
That's one of I think the biggest challenges. Jackie could explain it more, though, is trying to find what the gamut is of, brewery marketing categories. And we've been flexible by adding in, the human interest stuff and the pandemic stuff.
Yeah, like we added in seltzer. That was this year was the first year for seltzers.
I may or may not have had that category as well.
Good.
Cider, mead.
Yeah, cider, mead. Everything was in this year.
We even included ready to drink cocktails, as long as they were produced at the brewery level.
Yeah.
So lots of exciting things in our industry now.
Every year after an award season concludes, we've sat down and kind of gone through, what was the most popular category, which one kind of needed help, should we combine some? And we have great suggestions from the people who do enter as well that we keep a log of and we go through. I think the mead, seltzer, cider stuff came through last year as a request. So we added that.
And we put that out. You can put that out to, all your listeners as well. Anyone who, sends us some feedback that we incorporate, we send you free entry.
Yeah, we do.
Because we're trying to make this better for you.
Are there any categories you're already thinking ahead to next year that you'd like to add in?
Not just categories, but any type of feedbacks. Somebody really, dramatically helped us by suggesting a different way we split the panel with judging, or offering someone to download the whole thing because they're going to judge it while they're on the plane. So we could evolve the system to make it easier and more streamlined.
One
I
thing
will say that the judging portion has gotten a lot smoother the past few years.
Yes.
So much appreciated.
Yeah, it's been a tedious task on our end too. I will say one thing that we're toying with right now for 2023, if not that 2024, is a B2B type of category set up, because we do have a lot of our partners who are like, how do I win this? And we're like, well, you're not a brewery, so I'm not really sure. So we may be starting some categories that are strictly B2B. So someone like a keg logistics company, hop providers, all those guys can jump in and take part as well.
I would love to see that side of it. I mean, there's so many great industry partners in craft beer who are just as passionate about our industry as people on the brewing side. I think it'd be a fantastic opportunity to get them recognized.
Yeah.
Great. Send us some suggestions and we'll get them going.
Get them in the comments, everybody. Suggestions you would like for the Craft Beer Marketing Award. So, let's dive into suggestions for a minute, because I do love how involved you are with getting that feedback. Are there any specific suggestions that someone had that when they passed it along to you, it was just such a great idea that you incorporated it as quickly as you could?
That's happened many times. Specifically, there's been so many. I mean,
definitely the category stuff is the number one. And I think little things like somebody said, well, if you're streaming on Facebook, stream on YouTube like this. And so we'll do that next year, things like that. Just stuff that maybe we don't think about in the day-to-day to just check things off the list. That has been pretty helpful.
Yeah.
Suggestion we just got, like a lifetime achievement awards, perhaps someone who's had quality work for an extended period of time. I think that's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
So Facebook user in the comments, it doesn't show your name, but you may get a free entry, so don't let them forget that one.
Just DM us on Instagram.
We do have our industry person of the year that we ran the last few years, and that was peer-to-peer. Judges were able to vote on one other judge that they co-judge with, and you saw some really great winners through the years, like Zane Lamprey and Megan Stone. And
so one thing I love about the marketing awards, it's what we said earlier, is showcasing breweries small and large who are doing a great job. How have you seen these breweries who walk away with Crushies using them for greater success?
Oh my God. First of all, their social.
Give me all your examples. I want to hear them.
Social's always cooler than what we're doing. I mean, people have made like little animated videos with slow animation it's called, when like they slide in. They've done cool stuff within the breweries. I know there's a few guys who had the ceremony live streaming in the brewery, so everybody saw when they won. That was just a cool thing to know. The Crushies, I mean, have become like a little personality of their own, which is kind of cool.
Which is really, I think, a big shift that I think people will start to recognize fairly quickly is we are now calling ourselves the Crushies. So if you get an email from Jackie or myself, it'll be Jim and Jackie at thecrushies.com. I think the Crushies itself, almost like the Emmys, have become this, prestigious award in the industry that people really want to snag one.
Yeah.
But just one more point, Andrew, is like the shirt that you're wearing, Studley Brewing, like they just won an award. They have a nice new piece of accolade that they can promote in PR and on social to help them launch. And that to me is one of the real special things about people who enter for either a new brand or a new business. I don't know if we had got into it too much, but all of our winners get press. We have an incredible media department, and all you have to do is just look up, Craft Beer Marketing Awards or CBMAS winners or Crushie winners, and you won't believe just the amount of attention that we do get within the industry and beyond.
I will say one of the cooler things on our side to be like, wow, we really did this, was, if a brewery or brand agency is sending out press releases on a new beer release, that kind of thing, they add in that they were a 2021 Crushie Award winner. I mean, it's cool on our side to be like, all right, we're up there with GABF. Like, that's pretty cool as an awards program that kind of just started.
And that really actually does help us, is every time they mention us in their boilerplate, it's more of a backlink. So it is just one of those great marketing organic things that happen with PR and then linking it back to the campaign.
Do you two think that the companies and breweries that are winning these awards are already the businesses that value high quality marketing? They're obviously aware of you, they're doing great work already, and they're submitting. Do you think they can help influence the other breweries to see that they should be investing more in the marketing side of their business?
I think that's also organically happened over the last few years with the need to market more than just be like, hey, I have good beer. It doesn't go that far after, discovering that.
I think it was Sam from Dogfish Head who said like a couple years ago, the dawn of craft beer marketing is here. And that was obviously great news to our ears because there's a lot of breweries out there who didn't see it as a positive word marketing. It sounded like a costly endeavor. Marketing's job is to take your dollar and then give you 3 or 5 or 10 back. So marketing only ever works if it's working. So I think more breweries now look at marketing as a need to have.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's fascinating. Let's go back to like the non-alcoholic space. Some of these non-alcoholic breweries, they don't even have a production facility of their own. They're contract brewing somewhere.
Right.
And it's almost at a very high percentage of their business is marketing. I mean, obviously they have to make a great product, but they're a marketing business, and they're not just a marketing business, of course, but it's such a vital part of their operation and success to get it out there.
Yeah, a lot of breweries had started. That was a big part of the rapid evolution of our industry was gypsy brewing, where people could brew a batch of beer at a local brewery and then package it as their own brand and sell it. And I would say a high percentage, like you're saying, is that type of product now, and which, like you said, also relies 100% on marketing and word of mouth.
And, we started talking about what if you had launched this a decade ago. Now let's go into the future. I'm not going to make you take that crystal ball out and look at 2032 because that just seems like a ridiculous time to even say. But, a few years down the road, are there any predictions you have for marketing in craft beer?
Well, we've got the metaverse, right? I mean, we're all trying to figure that out. We're trying to figure out how that fits in even to this year or next year into the awards. So that's a ball that's already rolling, but
really hard at entering that space.
Yeah. I think that'll be a bigger piece of things, how breweries and their partners are entering that.
There's also like the influx of all the new beverages, as you've mentioned. Like we used to just have beer, and then, you have seltzer, and now you have cider and mead. And
I think that non-alcoholic category is just going to get bigger and bigger.
You have cannabis infused drinks. You have, new blends where they're mixing beer and wine or beer and cocktails. And it's the wild, wild west. And if you like alcohol or don't like alcohol, you're going to win.
Yeah, there's something.
Now, you mentioned, Jim, like cannabis. Do you ever envision taking the craft beer marketing awards to other industries?
We've talked about it.
Yeah, I think when the time is right and, we see that value. Right now, I think it's still like a fledgling trying to get off the ground. I definitely see it growing more and more as cannabis becomes legal, as it did here in New York, which was totally surprising to most New Yorkers, but we're loving it.
So looking ahead to next year's awards, I mean, it'll be here before we know it. It's hard to believe we're halfway through 2022.
September 12th.
Yeah, September 12th.
Oh my gosh, that will be here so soon. So what can everybody expect? Anything they need to know? Anything they can, just look forward to?
Entries, will open September 12th. We'll still have that early bird entry period for about a month or so. Like I said, we're going to be adjusting and redoing some categories, so it'll be a little more streamlined, easier to decide where you should jump in. We are, taking suggestions for over the next month until we have to build everything out. And we're going to be ordering more Crushies this year because we sold out of trophies. So moving forward, we're going to double that order because everybody and their friends and their partners, and they all ordered. So that'll be exciting too. We'll see more trophies out there.
Yeah. So someday, I don't know what the category would be. I hope to have a Crushie on my shelf right now. So I'm waiting for the category that resonates.
B2B categories rocking. That's you.
Definitely get that.
I love it. Looking forward to it. So let's pretend for a minute. At any point in time, so many of us in the industry had that crazy idea while we were drinking with our friends, home brewing, that we should open a brewery. Jim and Jackie, did you ever have that, thought go through your head?
Nope.
Oh, come on.
No, those guys work unbelievably hard. We've seen too much in, you know, the backstage area, watching from behind the scenes. I couldn't do it. I could not do it.
We like pushing a mouse around, and we see, you know, those folks carrying these heavy ingredients up, and it's hot. And that's the one thing people have to understand, how hard brewers work. The whole business, the people in the tasting room, the people behind the scenes ordering the ingredients, it is a big, hard business. And we love it, and we enjoy it, and we like to market it.
We like to visit them.
But I've only tried brewing once, and I failed, and I just leave that stuff to the pros.
You're staying in your lane. I can respect
We're
that.
staying in our lane. Yes.
I was
happy to help. We'll not be brewing.
I was going to ask you what you would call your brewery if you opened it, but we'll just skip over that one because, you know, you made the smart choice to do what you know.
Yeah.
So is there anything else you two are looking forward to this year?
I'd say like the one part, and I got to say, like, I had to, like, you know, turn away and wipe tears from my eyes, is I was so proud of us at the live award ceremony. I know that we had planned for a big one in San Antonio and then San Diego, and we were able to pull off like a little mini testing one in Denver. So when we got to Minneapolis and we were able to pull off this very large party, I think we had north of 400 people maybe, and to get up on stage and to bring people up like you see on TV, and you know, they get their award and thank their mom. It was like the best.
It was still like a mini version, but for 23 we are working out details, and we hope, fingers crossed, no promises, that we are going to do the full award ceremony in Nashville. Yeah. That's the goal.
I might even get a tux.
Oh, that's fancy, Jim. Well, I can't wait to be there. You know, one final question for you both. I mean, you've talked about how just heartwarming it is to see people get so excited to win their Crushie. You know, what are your goals over the next few years? Is there anything you would really like to accomplish through the Crushies that you haven't accomplished yet, so to speak?
It's a great question.
It's a great question. I think I would like to know when I go to sleep at the end of the day that we helped a brewery grow. We got their name out there. They all of a sudden come to us and be like, we've never had this many people visiting us, reaching out to us, looking into us, following us, whatever it may be. But us knowing that them winning a Crushie changed their business, I think would feel unbelievable to us.
I mean, I would say one of the greatest accomplishments that the CBMAs has done to date was give certain people platforms to, you know, talk about the things that they love and that they're passionate for. And our industry isn't perfect by any means. So I think for everyone to be willing to kind of grow and learn and be better, I want to be part of that.
Fantastic. I love it. Now, you know, you said the CBMAs, and I say the CBMAs, but when you first launched the Craft Beer Marketing Awards, was that the terminology you were using? Or when did you shift to abbreviating? Because it's a lot like Craft Beer Professionals. You know, so many people know us as CBP now, but, you know, when you first launch something, you just can't go straight to the abbreviation. So at what point did you realize, oh, we have the recognition, let's start abbreviating?
We're marketers. I think Jackie and I had everything completely buttoned up in the first couple of months. We knew exactly what we wanted to do, look like, say.
I think we even knew we would eventually be the Crushies. That's kind of more of the transition, I would say. CBMAs, we kind of knew no one's going to constantly say Craft Beer Marketing Awards every time they say something. So that was on the original trophy too, the CBMA. But I think Crushies is the way it's going.
Yeah, Crushies is better. I mean, just to be brutally honest, like we mentioned this in our last Marketing 3.0 seminar out in Minneapolis, that having beer in your name it makes digital marketing more difficult, especially globally. Yeah. So that was one move that we felt like we'd be able to get, you know, more penetration, especially outside the U.S. With just a name without beer in it. So we are the Crushies, and we love our award, and it's made by the same high-end manufacturer that makes the Emmy Award and the MTV Moon Man. And that was like probably the cart before the horse. But the one thing Jackie and I knew probably before even the name was that we wanted to make sure that we were giving out a very high-end, prestigious trophy.
Which there might be a little change to that this year too. We're not 100% sure.
Spoiler, are you able to share anything, Jackie?
There may be a little announcement in a month or two, but we'll find out.
We felt really bad about selling out, and it's hard to project how many trophies. We actually ordered double than we did last year, so we want to make sure that never happens again. And
I think we figured we'll
figure something out with that.
Well, congrats to all the 2022 Crushie Award winners. Amazing work there. Jim and Jackie, it's been a pleasure to hang out with you again today. Hopefully beers again soon. But before we sign off, if anyone's looking to get in touch with you or has any questions or want to register for the upcoming Crushies, how can they do so?
Jackie or Jim at thecrushies.com. Real easy. Craftbeermarketingawards.com. But now you can go to thecrushies.com as of like last week. Our entries will open September 12th. If anyone wants to talk about getting involved in sponsoring, they can email me directly. We're filling those spots up right now, and we're looking forward to some new friends and partners.
Yeah, and again, same with judges. If you're looking, if that all sounded fun to you and you want to get involved, reach out. And just please take some time, go to thecrushies.com and click on the sponsors page, and seriously consider doing some work with those folks.
I love that. So many great partners in our industry. I appreciate you two drawing importance to the value of marketing in craft beer. And I look forward to sharing beers, at least in Nashville, but hopefully sooner.
Hopefully sooner. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate it.